I think it has come now live.
No, it's not fully.
So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to CL Live today. You know, CL as an organization provides talent to various organizations for their permanent as well as temporary roles. We are in the privileged position of watching the talent market, the behavior of the employers, as well as behavior of prospective candidates. We get to see the challenges, the opportunities which happens in this talent market. This is an attempt to sort of bring together the insights that we gather every day out of our work and to present to individual professionals as well as organizations. Today, we have picked up a topic called reskilling and upskilling, which has been there in discussion across the world, I must say. Any country, any economy which has been developing fast is today experiencing a gap between what the industry is looking for in terms of skills and what the organizations, educational institutions produce in terms of quality of talent. This is nothing new. I think organizations are trying to deal with it for last many years across the world. India is no difference. In India, we produce about 1.5 million engineering graduates every year. We are one of the largest talent pools for the world. About maybe 500,000 management graduates every year, and we always talk about how there is a difference between the skills that the educational institutes produce and the skills that the corporates or the employers are looking for. Hence, reskilling and upskilling is something which is in debate in countries including ours. So we thought we will pick this topic and we will do a little bit of a research. I will talk to you about what research findings are, and I will present to you what we think on this particular subject. Let me begin by saying recounting my own experience when in the early 90s or late 80s, when I was in my engineering college. Many of us, my seniors, and the environment in the educational institution, our engineering college and the university was that your life is set, you will get a job, and the next 30 years of your life, you have all the good things to do. So as much as you can develop the leadership skills, you can really go higher and higher up the ladder. That was the impression. Nobody really thought that we have to continuously improve our domain skills, the hard skills, the subject that we studied in our college. So that was pretty much the environment in the 90s or the late 80s in our country. Possibly a major, uh, call it a turning point, came in our economy, in our journey to emerge as a major power in the world, was the economic crisis which kind of gripped our nation. So that's the time where the country liberalized and a lot of things happened at that point of time. We suddenly, the engineering graduates passing out of the colleges, suddenly didn't find jobs for them. Okay, and same happened for many other professionally qualified people. So that's the time India started realizing that there is competition. There is a very different world when the markets open up for any industry sector that you are, there is a competition. And when the economy opens up and there is competition, there will be expectations for any organization to move at a much faster pace, because there are now the competition is now hyper compared to what it was in the past. So naturally, organizations were in a hurry to review a lot of aspects of their business which they did not see a need in the past. So that's the time. The That's why I'm kind of saying that this was a turning point for our economy. And every 5 years, things have changed. And these days, things are changing every 2 years. Let me give you a few examples. In the 80s or 90s, if somebody was in the sales profession, the way the salesperson was selling or going about achieving one's target or delivering the output to the organization, and the way today, in a span of just 30 years, there is a sea change in the way the salespeople operate. The products that they sell, the conversations that they have with the customers, the expectations of the customers that they have to deal with, the way in which a product is packed, sold, shipped to the customer, the way a product is built, the way a customer looks at a product, experiences it, places an order. All of this have undergone tremendous amount of change. Whether the customer is a retail customer trying to buy a kg of salt, or it is a corporate who's trying to buy a piece of software or tons of steel or cement, or maybe buying a service. All of these have changed. I can tell you from my personal experience. Though I studied engineering and worked in the engineering company for about 7 years, and in the last 20 odd years, I've been in the recruitment industry. The way we did recruitment 5 years ago and the way we are doing recruitment today, there is so much of change. The skills and competencies that we expected of a recruiter in the 90s, or the early 2000s, or even 2010, 2015, and the skill that is required in 2020 are very different. So what does this mean? If you have been a recruiter like me over a period of time, then you had to learn new skills and adapt. If you have been a sales professional who never thought that once I get into a sales job in a good company, then I don't have to learn new techniques of sales. Organizations did not have any specific infrastructure or process or method to really impart some of these basic skills of sales to people. At best, they did a kind of an onboarding program or an induction program where they taught the new recruits some of the fundamentals as a refresher of what they already know, or maybe something specific to their company's product or the market knowledge and things like that. However, they did not really invest their efforts on sales techniques and the changes which are happening. But things have changed so much that even for a function like sales, the person has to proactively invest on oneself about the basics of sales, because the conversations with customers are changing, the language of conversation is changing, the topics of conversation are changing. So all of this, how do you learn it? You learn on the job, and you try to be ahead of others. But because all organizations are today operating in a volatile, uncertain, high paced environment, organizations do not have that patience for you to slowly evolve and emerge and transform your skills and competencies. They're looking at results today. So if there is someone else who already knows that, has that competency, knows the skill, and has the adequate knowledge, has demonstrated recently success, then naturally that person will be preferred than an existing person who's trying to adapt, trying to learn, and trying to move further. Think of our banks, which went through digitization or computerization in the 90s. There was so much of resistance, for sure. You know that. And what happened? Many people, even if they were 20 years, 10 years, 15 years in the bank doing the ledger entries and all the hard copies and their own previous methods of doing banking, they had to learn new methods of operating a computer, doing everything digitally. Those who could not do, they had to retire. So the point is made. This is the first point I want to make and present to all of us, that if we don't do it, if we don't continuously put our efforts as individuals, we cannot outsource this responsibility to our employer or to the educational institute where we study. Yes, ideally the educational institute should be teaching us what the corporate is looking at, because that's the last level of education we are talking about before one starts the formal work life. Yeah, ideally. However, we know that we don't live in an ideal world, right? So we have to take our own interest, and we have to get out of the previous kind of an idea that if I have a good degree from a good institute, I am well qualified, I have a good academic record, I will have a successful professional career. That's a myth now. The fact is that I have to have the ability, first of all, the curiosity to learn new things, and the ability to learn it fast. And thirdly, the ability to apply that knowledge at work, right? So, this is the first point, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to present. Now, let me share with you. We did a survey recently on LinkedIn and a few other platforms. Many people responded to this survey. I see that people have responded. Many middle and senior level people have responded to this survey because this survey was focused on them. I see people from large IT services companies, medium sized IT services companies, many engineering product companies, manufacturing, healthcare, uh, construction, education technology, financial technology kind of companies respond to this survey. We asked them this question, that does your organization in the last 1 year take any effort or organize specific upskilling and reskilling training programs? So the answer was something very interesting. I think 52% people said that their organizations did not organize. And about 43% people said that their organization organized either a reskilling program or reskilling as well as upskilling program. Ladies and gentlemen, you understand the upskilling and reskilling, uh, both sides of it. It's about making that person, either by reskilling or by upskilling, the human potential to come out to the maximum, right? So that's the objective of this whole program. So let's talk about what organizations need to do. We have spoken about what individuals need to do. If we don't do, what happens, we just discussed. We just looked at the survey results, which are the reflection of what is happening around us across different industry sectors. Since CL as an organization works across industry sectors, pan India, we service recruitment requirements of companies in financial services, in manufacturing, engineering, consumer services, pharma, healthcare, life sciences, almost all sectors, manufacturing, engineering, all of it. So I think what we are presenting today is a sort of combined snippet of what we are seeing in the market. And the study also showed that many organizations at this point of time are not doing it. uh, Reasons could be many. It could be that the organization understands the importance of it but doesn't have the bandwidth to do it. It could be that the organization is caught up with higher priorities, or the organization has simply not been able to put its act together about how to execute. So, many times we all know that this is an idea, we believe in the idea, but we are not able to execute it. So we will not talk about how to execute today. We will talk about uh, two kinds of situations. One situation is how the organizations are the best practices that we have observed, that what the organizations are doing in dealing with the fresh talent who they onboard. And the second part we want to talk about, that the organizations, what do they do with their existing talent. If I give an example of the existing talent, let's say just about 5 6 years ago, machine learning as a skill, right? It was the talk of the town. Almost all IT professionals, many people who are from the allied sectors, wanted to understand machine learning, wanted to apply it at work. Organizations have been trying to apply it at work. Just a few years ago, if you just knew R and Python or basics of machine learning, you were very valuable. But just over a 5 years period, today the employers that we are recruiting machine learning skills, they are looking at, does this person have machine learning with certain kind of DevOps, with maybe an AWS or a GCP kind of an experience, or an Azure experience. So if somebody just got stuck on that machine learning, then one loses out on the all the other opportunities which comes one's way. Let me give you another example of, let's say, .NET, Microsoft platform. It has been like decades now. It's a, many organizations use .NET, ASP.NET as their to develop an application for themselves, right? But right now, if somebody has to go up the ladder, then one has to learn .NET. One has to do maybe something like a React or a Node.js or .NET Core, something more than .NET, because these are the new technologies, new platforms, new ways of working organizations are doing. So individual loses out. Maybe the individual will become obsolete at some point of time. I just spoke about somebody who knows .NET and React will naturally will have an accelerated path, will have the preference. Now coming to the organization with an existing talent who has .NET, not only the employee is losing out and is becoming obsolescent, but also the organization is losing an opportunity to use the newer technologies to offer a product or offer a service to its customers, which is delivering greater value to the customer. Maybe the application is responding faster, the application is available on cloud, many more customers can use it, and so on and so forth. So if the organization is trying to win in the marketplace, it has to continuously upgrade its own technology infrastructure, it is technology ecosystem, to make sure that it is at the best or at the right point in the technology roadmap. So if the organization is not able to put its act together in terms of the learning and development team, looking at how to really apply the effectiveness of the learning programs, the programs that they design or they outsource to a third party who's providing the training or the development opportunity, how to make sure that that development, that investment of development efforts is delivering results in terms of ROI. The people are able to apply that knowledge in churning out products or in designing, delivering services which are of much higher value. So that's about the existing talent of the organizations. If organizations are not doing, then you tend to lose out. I gave some examples of from the IT side of it. However, the same thing applies to all other sectors. If you are a manufacturing company, if you are a pharma company, if you're a healthcare company, FMCG company, consumer durable company, just see how consumer interactions are changing over a period of time. So, if an organization is not using robots or bots or the new technologies like artificial intelligence in its supply chain, in its manufacturing, in its customer interaction programs, then one is becoming less efficient. So the company has to make sure that it is transforming its own beliefs and practices to adapt the new. to adopt the new methods and adapt new beliefs and practices, right? So you may be a salesperson, you may be a finance person, HR person, IT person, manufacturing, it does not matter. So you have to upskill yourself, and the organization has to take interest and create mechanism by which these the people existing talent are reskilled, upskilled, so that they are able to deliver higher higher results. Now coming to the fresher side of it. So there are many organizations, we spoke right at the beginning of this session, that all across the world, whether it's Germany or Japan or US or all over the world, many large organizations are already experiencing a gap between what they are looking for in a fresher from the educational institute and what they are getting it. So they're trying to bridge the gap in various ways. One way is by deeper collaboration with the academic institutes, where the company is giving internship programs or regular industry talks, lot more collaboration between the real life work that they are doing and the education that the students are getting. Many educational institutes are reaching out to the industry and trying to marry the theory with the real world challenges into the curriculum. So organizations need to think whether they are doing some of these activities. There, many organizations may not have the critical mass to be able to engage with critical mass of requirement and critical mass in their HR side to be able to engage with so many organizations, so many educational institutes. So there are many new methods these days where one can get these done by experts and third parties. So I guess this kind of overall gives an idea of why we need reskilling and upskilling. The fact is 52% of organizations are today not investing in it. Only 43% have done that to, either reskilling or upskilling. So what we need is both. And then what organizations can do to nurture their existing talent, to develop them, to engage them, and to generate greater productivity out of their own human resources, whether somebody is existing or somebody is a fresher. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we had today to present to you. We hope that you have found this interesting. We look forward to the, the future sessions. So, if there are any questions, you might put them in the comments below. We will respond to you over a period of time. So, thank you very much.